Hey guys, coming up tonight on News Center now at 5, a lot about the hurricane going on in Houston. We'll certainly show you the damage, a lot of the pictures and what's going on. They will have the weather forecast and let you know when, if it's going to end, and what's just going on in Texas has been awful. Also going to have a story about a lady who survived Hurricane Katrina and then got displaced, and she's here in Maine now. She'll share her memories of that. And what happens to pets during hurricanes and natural disasters. Maine and the Animal Refuge League has a huge role in that. We'll have that story as well. It's all coming up on Now.
There is a reality that we have to come to grips with, and that is we are just beginning the process of responding to this storm.
The state of Texas, battered by Hurricane Harvey, braces for weeks of search and rescue as thousands are left homeless while everything they own lies beneath the rising floodwaters.
I had a single bed that had been donated. I had a futon that served as a sofa. And I had 2 t-shirts and a pair of jeans and a hat. Yes, and of course,
after she survived Hurricane Katrina, she moved to Maine. We will chat with one woman who has a pretty good idea what people in the Houston area are going through.
Hello everybody, welcome to Now on this Monday. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Jessica Gagne in for Amanda Hill. Hurricane Harvey lost a lot of strength, but the storm is far from over. Parts of Texas are still getting pounded by rain as the Coast Guard, National Guard, and Good Samaritans risk their own safety to rescue those trapped by rising floodwaters. We learned today that a family of 6 was swept away by the storm, adding to the rising death toll. The images are terrifying, but living through that nightmare is hard to imagine.
Now we spoke with a woman today who isn't from Maine. Well, she's a Mainer now. She's just not from here. She did survive Hurricane Katrina more than a decade ago, thanks to help from a family from Buxton.
She hopes that sharing her story will inspire others to lend a helping hand to those in need in Houston. An apartment full of treasures.
it gets to a point where you really, truly don't care about your possessions.
12 years ago, Lady Susan had to leave everything she owned behind.
I decided I needed to get out.
She remembers living just outside of New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina hit. With only the clothes on her back and her dog Sammy in her arms, she says she left the area to stay with a friend who lived 2 hours away to wait out the storm.
Somehow, by the grace of God, we survived. And I became a bag lady.
Lady Susan lost all her belongings. There was nothing left to return to. A friend told her to find a working computer and look online for help. She was hoping someone could give her shelter while she figured out how to get her life back together.
I literally went, closed my eyes, eeny, meeny, miny, moe, moe. And my finger went on the state of Maine. And I just prayed, please, please.
Her prayers were answered. A family from Buxton flew her and her dog here to vacation land. She stayed with them for 6 months before finding this apartment. She's been here ever since.
I feel I've died and gone to heaven.
What's happening in Texas right now sends memories of Katrina rushing back. Lady Susan was saved by Mainers who were willing to lend a hand to a stranger, and she knows that there are a lot more people in Texas who will need saving after Harvey.
I hope they'll be just as generous with their time or money to the people in Texas.
Lady Susan is from Great Britain and lived in New Orleans, but she also spent some time in Houston for a while, so she can really envision what these families are going through.
All right, so Harvey's not a hurricane anymore. It's a tropical storm, but it is parked right over Houston, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Keith, why isn't this storm moving on?
Guys, unfortunately, it's something the computer models did a pretty good job resolving before the storm hit, but we were just hoping they were wrong. The problem here is there's Harvey down here as a tropical storm. We've got this big ridge of high pressure across the west. So typically these storms try to keep going the direction they're going. It can't, though, push into this ridge. This ridge is too strong. Conversely, we have a trough in the east that isn't deep enough or far enough south to pick Harvey up and pull it up to the northeast. So in general, it's basically in no man's land between this big blocking high and this trough that could move it along, and it will be there until Thursday morning before it basically just dies out to the south. You know what struck me about Harvey? A couple of things, but one is I was looking at the radar on Friday night, and I looked at it again on Sunday night, and it looked very similar to me. There's been almost no movement, and right now, look where Houston is, and these really heavy tropical downpour bands coming down probably 2 to 2.5 inches an hour on top of what they already have. You know, typically you see some dry air advected into these cyclones, but this is the Gulf of Mexico here. There's no dry air to advect in, so the heavy rain continues over Houston. Take a look at the estimated rainfall from when the storm made landfall up until now. You'll notice at the very end that we lose a couple of color tables here because it only goes up to 20 inches, and we had areas in excess of 35 inches of rain. Now the model forecast going forward isn't much better. Here's the next couple of days of rainfall. 8 to 10 more inches of rain in Houston. In some spots that'll put them over 40 inches of precipitation. There'll be a lot of heavy rain over western parts of Louisiana as well, so we can't sleep on them. Although in general they do a little bit better a job, the soil does, of absorbing the moisture in this part of the country. But another 10 inches of rain to Houston will make that situation even worse. Guys, to put this in perspective here, we're basically looking at 10 inches would be enough to cause a big flooding event by itself, and now we're piling it on 30 inches or so.
All right, thank you, Keith. The images from Houston are just heartbreaking as people attempt to scramble to safety, and in many cases, houses and possessions will be lost forever.
Yeah, obviously there's also the issue of pets, animals, and natural disasters like this. Getting reunited pets with their owners could be an ominous task, if not impossible, and that's when a state like Maine is ready to answer the call for help. The horrendous hurricane in Houston has left people in the Lone Star State scrambling for help and answers. Here in Maine, preparations are already being made to lend a hand when it comes to the displaced animals.
You know, we're here to serve both animals in our community, in our state, and beyond. We're a destination facility. We are a life-saving organization, and we're ready and we're waiting to accept animals who need our help.
Thank you for calling Animal Refuge League of Greater Portland. This is John. How may I help you?
The Animal Refuge League has taken in animals from other natural disasters before, and within the next week or so, officials should know what help will be needed.
So often animals are stray or abandoned during natural disasters, and finding their family of origin will be the #1 goal. After that, it will be finding shelters and partner groups across the country to send animals to be rehomed in those communities.
Roth says Maine is a destination facility because of the seemingly endless support that the community provides to animals in need.
We've had community members reach out to see how they can help us help other shelters and rescues across the country. We've fielded calls from our rescue partners, New Orleans and Mississippi. They're being proactive. They're trying to move animals out of their foster groups and out of their rescue to make room for more animals. So it really is a collaborative effort across the country to help animals that are suffering through this natural disaster.
Now, many animals in Houston are instinctively searching for higher ground to snakes, bugs. The animals know how to avoid the water, but for those who are left stranded, volunteers are doing their best to help out.
The Patriots are also doing their part to help Hurricane Harvey survivors. The Kraft family says it will match up to $1 million in donations to the American Red Cross. According to a release from the team, they are working now to set up a donation site.
All right, still to come on now, the neighbors and strangers who showed courage when people needed it most.
What are you going to do? I'm going to try to save some lives.
The heroes of Harvey are taking over social media, and for all the right reasons. Your social stomp is coming up next.
Plus, rumors are flying. The new iPhone could hit the market before the end of the year. What tech experts are expecting from Apple's newest product.
Coming up tonight on 207, we are talking to the guy who's been the keyboardist and musical director for the Rolling Stones. He was in Maine recently getting an honorary degree from Bowdoin College. We'll talk to him about his life in music began. It's all ahead on 207.
As the devastation in Texas worsens, the heroes of Hurricane Harvey are emerging, and as one reporter on Twitter put it, it's the best of our country on display. The Houston police chief says more than 2,000 people have been rescued from the city's flooding, but it isn't just first responders that are doing all they can. It's ordinary people like you and me who are going out into the water without a second guess. Here we have a reporter interviewing a man as he's loading up. His reason is quite simple.
Coming from Texas City. Texas City? Yes, sir. What are you going to do? I'll go try to save some lives. Yeah? Yes, sir.
And it's not just adults. Here we have a 15-year-old and his friends making trips, picking people up in a Houston area neighborhood known as Maryland. Don't have a boat? Well, those stranded, of course, will take anything that floats. Crystal Jaramillo and Trey Jones of nearby Texas City say they've rescued 22 people in their kayak. And not only are Texans stepping up to the plate, but a group of volunteers calling themselves the Cajun Navy are on the move to do their part. These are the same people from Louisiana who rescued people from flooding in their state in 2016. This is the Cajun Navy from their efforts last year, getting on their boats to navigate through the flood waters. They're headed down in groups, and one witness says she saw a caravan of pickup trucks with boats heading toward the interstate with a big sign that said ready to Monroe to Houston, hashtag Cajun Navy. Messed up a little bit there, but you know, social media, I feel like a lot of people try to capture, you know, the bad things, you know, just anything that's kind of like for, you know, shock factor. But, you know, in this instance, it definitely brings out the best in people, and it's great to see so much good coming out of something as horrendous as this.
It's so important now, too, because if people have lost electricity, but they somehow still have a cell signal, they can go on a place like Twitter and get information. That's really important.
And check when you're safe, too. These check-in websites.
With Facebook and stuff. And there was even the response someone took to social media at the nursing home, you know, showing the conditions, and it's literally, you know, the elderly in their wheelchairs, waist-high water, just kind of hanging around waiting to be rescued, and within hours, because of that tweet, they were able to get rescued.
A lot of people willing to help, guys, for sure. Yep. And if you are willing to help, anyone can be a hero to Houston by helping out in any way they can. If you want to donate to the relief effort, you can find a link right now on our website. We have a number of sister stations in Texas, and these local news stations are banding together to help their neighbors. Click on the Texas Cares article to make a donation.
And coming up to our News Center at 6, Dawn Kerrigan will have much more on ways that Mainers can help out the Harvey survivors.
The Navy says remains of all 10 missing sailors have been recovered from the wreckage of the USS John S. McCain. The Bath-built destroyer collided with a merchant ship just over a week ago, launching a massive investigation of Navy procedures in the 7th Fleet.
A young girl from Bethel battling cancer received an official letter from Governor LePage today proclaiming September Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in our state. In the governor's letter, he says that he is inspired by Haley Stewart's bravery and determination, aren't we all? He is pleased to offer his support in her efforts to end childhood cancer.
Are you one of the lucky people who is due for an iPhone upgrade? You may want to wait a few weeks. The Wall Street Journal says that the new iPhone will be unveiled on September 12th. The rumor is facial recognition will be the cool new thing. Not sure if that's creepy or convenient, but we'll see.
I'm going to go with creepy on that one. All right, the countdown is over for some families, but are you ready? Tell us right now on our Facebook live stream, because we're talking back to school.
Oh, it's happening.
After the break. Summer vacation is drawing to a close, and that means the kids are getting on buses and heading off to school. Some students already back in the classroom. More will head there next week. So We asked you guys today on Facebook, are you ready for summer vacation to be over?
Lindsay says, no way. Back to school means homework and crazy schedules. She's enjoyed the summer with her kids. And Donna says, the kids aren't ready, but Grammy is. For those who pay for daycare, the first day of school is good, according to Jacqueline.
But Junior says going back to school right before a long weekend like Labor Day is kind of pointless. I can't argue with that one. And Kelly says today was her son's first day of college.
Lots of tears, I'm sure.
Congratulations. And school can't come soon enough. Okay, so whether you're ready or not, school is upon us, and that means kids are getting ready for long days in the classroom and lots of new schoolwork.
And some schools are incorporating new research to help their students learn better. As Sonia Azad reports, smart seating can make a big difference.
Traditional classrooms are so 1999.
We decided to make some changes.
At Cottonwood Creek Elementary, you won't see kids sitting in those stiff chairs connected to tiny desks.
They choose what's best for them.
That's right, they choose. There are yoga balls, sofas, big chairs, fluffy chairs, and all sorts of tables.
I like sitting on a couch where there's a table in front of me so I can just be comfortable and then have a good working space.
You might hear this non-traditional working space called flexible seating.
It's like easy for me to get my work done because I'm like not moving around because I'm just very comfortable.
Okay, guys.
Comfort is one benefit of Mr. Eubank's 5th grade classroom.
The lumbar spine likes not to be in a straight position, which is what sitting does.
Posture is the other. Sitting in one position for a long time can fatigue the muscles in your low back, causing pain over time.
We get it. I mean, I don't want to sit there for an hour or 2 hours in a chair, and we've all been there. We've all had to do it, and we go home and we're tired. Our back hurts, our legs hurt.
Spine surgeons and chiropractors I talked to say shifting modalities will allow kids to think better because of increased oxygen and blood flow.
Everything that flexible seating does is backed up by research, and I think it makes us kind of go, okay, we're doing something that's right.
That was Sonia Azad reporting out of Dallas.
We want to hear from you right now. Open up our Facebook pages, comment on our live stream, and tell us how your family is getting ready for back to school.
Well, if we're talking about back to school, that means we're talking about the sports season, which means football.
The 5th quarter returns for its 25th season this Friday, but the competition really starts right now today. You guys are choosing the game of the week every week on Mondays. We're calling it the Hometown Showdown. It will be featured on Friday. We will visit both schools and show what they plan to bring to the field on game day. So show some school spirit and vote for your team. This week's Hometown Showdown options are Brunswick versus Messalonskee, Kennebunk versus Greeley, or Biddeford versus Westbrook.
And you had mentioned that the weather for Friday will be very football fall-like. Is that true?
You're just looking behind me.
I'm like, what's going on here?
Katie,
what just happened?
She helped me with this board, and she was very upset that the camera died at the end. So,
but it's a great board.
Do we have a close-up of it? Basically, she made me watch the Taylor Swift video today. Look what you made me do. Which she, I think, is editing into a reaction piece because I had a lot of reactions during it.
For those who don't know PSL,
Pumpkin spice latte.
That's right.
Yeah, I didn't know what
I have no idea what that is. Personal seat license is what I had.
I think if we have
just making up words.
Comfortable, flexible seating and pumpkin
thing.
spice lattes, the kids will do great.
Personal seat license. If you want a season ticket to a game, it's a personal seat license.
I have not been able to ever afford season ticket to a game, so maybe one day I'll find that out.
Just saying.
I get that parking spot.
I don't have.
Did you hear about that?
Parking spot license?
You got like 30 seconds left in weather, so hurry up. I'm coming over there.
All right, hey, nice bright day today. It has been just an unbelievable stretch of dry and sunny weather. Temperatures today got into the low 70s, mid 70s inland, and 80 was the warm spot in Bangor. This is actually at average. We're going to trend, though, below average through a decent part of this week, particularly the second half of the week and into next weekend. Hour by hour forecast, pretty quiet through tonight. It'll be mostly clear and cool. Tomorrow is mostly sunny pretty much from start to finish, and then on Wednesday we do see some cloud cover, particularly along the coastline move in. That's in association with a tropical system that's going to be largely offshore for us. We'll talk more about that in a second, but Wednesday is a cloudier day, and then some showers move in on Thursday afternoon. So for most of Maine. You're not talking till late Thursday into Thursday night, your next chance of showers, and of course right now being Monday afternoon. Take a look at our overnight lows tonight though. It is going to be pretty chilly even along the coastline. 49 in Portland, 41 in Sanford, 41 in Freiburg, upper 30s in Berlin. Betty and Eustace called me, said this morning they got down to 36 degrees. All right, obviously Harvey, the big story in the country, but we do have this little disturbance right here that we're watching across the eastern seaboard. It's not a tropical storm right now. It is still kind of an area of interest, a cyclone that could start up. We're going to be watching that move to our south and east. This is our track right here by the National Hurricane Center, and you can see all the different guidance plots just a little bit on the north side of that. So I think it'll be a relatively close pass with Maine, but it's not close enough that we should be concerned about a hit. And here we are Wednesday night, Thursday. Here's a big wind field just offshore of Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and again offshore of Maine. So we'll give it one more computer model run just to make sure it does stay off coast and off to the south and east, but I see no reason for that to change. So overall, our week is pretty quiet. We do see some showers on Thursday afternoon. It is cool, though, with highs only in the 60s on Friday. A chilly start on Saturday and some showers possible on Sunday. I'm not married to the idea of it raining on Sunday quite yet. We'll see if that evolves. At the moment, though, it does look relatively wet. And then for the holiday, we should be partly cloudy, temperatures in the 70s. But guys, we got a couple of nights here where away from the coastline tonight and again on Saturday morning, we could be in the 30s away from the coast.
Fall is coming, but Cindy Williams is here, and you look like the picture of summer right now.
I refuse to let go. I don't care how cool it gets at night. I'm hanging on to the bright colors, people. We got a lot more news coming up for you at 5:30, including a serious story about a stepmother who is looking for answers as to her son's murder. She didn't find any in court today. What we do know about the case against James Haskell's accused murderer coming up, and also why so few details have been made public about this case. Plus, we're going to talk with the man behind the Katahdin Woods and Waters National Monument. He says he's really relieved after a phone call he got from the Secretary of Interior today. We'll tell you what he said, but he also says he's wary of possible changes that might be made. We'll explain, all coming up in the next half hour.
All right, we will look for that. And News Center Now continues with Brain Drops after the break.
All right, today's Brain Drops is kind of interesting. So PTSD is a big problem with today's military, right? There hasn't been very good treatment for that. They use Zoloft, but it's relatively ineffective. They've recently just greenlighted a second study and possible approval on using ecstasy, which you associate with a club drug, on PTSD. The way it works is they take it before these long therapy sessions. It takes the inhibition out of people about talking about the trauma, which is the problem with PTSD. They can't talk about it. They do a couple of these sessions with ecstasy, and they've seen remarkable improvement in people. So it's got promise.
Hey, if it works, wouldn't that be nice,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right, News Center at 5:30 starts right now.